Hi, this is Kevin Stewart from StockTA.com. I'm coming to you on Sunday, June 1st, 2025, to do a quick crypto sector recap. Crypto's been in the news a lot lately, so we want to do a little deep dive and pick out 10 tickers that look interesting. Just a quick reminder before we get started that this is not investment advice. This is for information and entertainment purposes only, and please consult a certified financial planner before putting any of your hard-earned money into these crazy markets. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to take a look at IBIT first, which is the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. It is closed Friday at 59.46. Bullish overall, neutral short term. If you look at the chart, it pulled back a little bit. Candlestick analysis has been neutral. It has light support at 60.15 and then some more light resistance above it. But what I like about this chart is there's some pretty decent support in the 50s. So if we have some more tariff news or volatility in the markets this week, I would look for it to pull back and hit some of these support numbers, just under 56 or at 53.55. And I don't think, no guarantees in this, but I don't see this pulling back into the 40s again unless there's some, really bad tariff or geopolitical news. ETHA is the iShares Ethereum Trust, closed at 19.49. That's bullish across the board. Pretty solid score. Has heavy resistance at 20.11. So I keep an eye on that. Has medium support at 17.74. So this could be range bound for a little bit, but that 20 number is really one to keep an eye on. If it breaks out above that, it could run a little bit up into the mid 20s. ETH, which is a Grayscale Ethereum Trust ETF, that has been trading a little differently than ETHA lately. ETH is bullish overall, but very bullish short term. Really nice trend score, 0.54. It's run up quite a bit from the 15s in the past couple of weeks. Candlestick analysis has been neutral. RSI is at 65, has major support at 21.08, so a little below where it's trading now. Not much for heavy resistance. This would be more light to medium, just under 28. But if you're looking at it, it's a nice looking chart. And it's interesting how that is set up a little differently than ETHA, which has is really close to immediate heavy resistance. WGMI, which is a Valkyrie Bitcoin miners ETF, that's neutral across the board. That closed at 16.47, has heavy support at 15.27, medium resistance at 18.70. Chart indicators on this are kind of a mixed bag of either, very bullish or very bearish. Had some gaps early on in May. It's kind of curious to see which way this is going to go. This could consolidate for a little bit before trying to make a move higher. But we're going to dive into some of those miners that make up the ETF next. CIFR mining closed at 3.12, also neutral across the board. Medium to heavy resistance right at a 15 confluence at 3.28, closed at 3.12. So that would be a number to keep an eye on. Above that, there's really not much for any medium or major resistance. So that 3.28 is a key number to look at. Has medium to, I'd say, light support at 2.87. So this one, RSI is only at 49. Mixed bag on the chart indicators. So this one's going to be interesting to watch. Again, not much resistance to the upside. If, crypto takes off this week, this could be one that has a lot of leverage to the upside. HUD 8 Corp closed at 15.27. That's neutral across the board. Has medium support at 15.02. So that's an important number to keep an eye on. Again, not much for overhead resistance. So this could be another one that has some interesting, asymmetric risk. Chart indicators are a mixed bag. RSI is only at 51. But again, medium support at 15.02. Mara Holdings closed at 14.12. Again, neutral across the board like all the other miners. This one has heavy resistance. 28 confluence is pretty high at 15.32. Closed at 14.18. Has medium resistance at 20.34. Has medium support at 12.40. So not my favorite setup here, but one to keep an eye on as this one has a lot of torque and usually trades pretty well when crypto's in an upswing. BLOK is a ETF, bullish overall, bullish short term. closed at 48.38, has heavy resistance, a 20 confluence at 48.47. So that's really, really close. You can see the chart, putting in a line right there. Pretty clear cut resistance across the board. Has medium support at 45.21. So that's one that could pull back and test major resistance in the next couple days. So that's one to keep an eye on. Interesting setup here. The EMA is very bullish. The Fibonacci is very bullish. Some of the other stuff is neutral though. And good candle action though recently. So this is one to keep an eye on. I'm watching the MACD here. If it crosses over negatively, RSI is starting to downslope too. But this is one that has an interesting setup. HIVE is HIVE Digital Technology, closed at 1.8, neutral overall, neutral short term, has medium resistance at 1.86, so 6 cents away from medium resistance, and then not much until 2.10, has medium support at 1.66. So a little bit of a range here. The chart's been pretty ugly, but it looks like it's trying to maybe make some moves here. The MACD has been very bullish. RSI is only, 47. Interesting setup. And then the last one we'll do is RIOT, closed at 8.07, neutral across the board. Closed at 8.07, medium resistance at 8.35, confluence of 17, which is a medium. So that's one to keep an eye on. Doesn't have much support until 7.30, and that's also a medium. Sorry, above 17 would be heavy resistance. So 8.35 would be heavy resistance. So not one of the better setups here, but one I wanted to show off because it's not too far away. So if crypto takes off, there's not much resistance as you see till you really get into the mid nines. So this one that has a lot of leverage could be an interesting trading opportunity. But that's our quick crypto recap for the week. Please check us out. Please subscribe to our Discord. And please check out the stock. Again, it's stockta.com. Thank you.